People in the MAGA universe had a total meltdown when Trump's top generals came out and said that he fit the definition of a fascist. But then Donald Trump held another campaign event, walked out onto that stage with Tucker Carlson, and started talking exactly like a fascist. But if you end up getting anything out of this video, please remember to smash that subscribe button. I am a brand new creator trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers, and I would very much appreciate your support. Now, one of the main tenets of fascism is the forceful suppression of your opposition, and Donald Trump has made himself no stranger to making threats against people that he perceives as his enemy. And even though we only have 4 days left to go in this election, Donald Trump is coming out and escalating that rhetoric yet again. He is literally calling for Liz Cheney to be shot in the face with 9 rifles.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
So let me get this straight. Because Donald Trump thinks Liz Cheney is a war hawk, she should be executed. Is that what I'm picking up here? Or is the more plausible explanation that Donald Trump has never gotten over that people like Liz Cheney tried to hold him accountable during the January 6th committee because he tried to overturn a free and fair election? These are the behaviors and the rhetoric of a fascist. Donald Trump will go after anybody he perceives as disloyal to him. And this is not the first time that he has made threats against people of high stature. Do you guys remember when he threatened or suggested that Mark Milley should be executed for treason?
And over the weekend, Trump effectively said that Milley should be executed for treason. I'm not making that up. That's not an exaggeration. That's what he suggested. Over some spurious allegations, Milley spoke to Chinese leaders about Trump's mental fitness. Now, what Milley actually did was reach out to his Chinese counterpart under the direction of the Secretary of Defense, which is civilian, to make sure that Donald Trump's desperate coup attempts and erratic lashing out didn't lead to a war with nuclear-armed China.
So because Donald Trump was so unhinged after the events of January 6th, Mark Milley reached out to his Chinese counterparts to assure them that we weren't going to war with them. Mark Milley was trying to protect the American people. And he was also one of the people that came out and said that Donald Trump is fascist to his core. And it is exactly because of things like this. And we need to take him literally. We need to take him seriously. Because a second Trump term is going to be much different than the first one. The people who were able to check some of those authoritarian ambitions will no longer be around. Donald Trump is going to staff his White House with Trump acolytes. So when he wants to go after his political opponents, they are either going to turn their head the other way or they're going to cheer him on. And this is only, a couple weeks out from the enemy from within debacle, where Donald Trump is threatening to use the United States military against American citizens?
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
You know, it's pretty ironic that Donald Trump is always saying that he lives, or we are, a banana republic, when the things that he advocates for would make us a banana republic. The United States military is not supposed to be used against the American citizens. So for Donald Trump to even be making that threat is so far outside the norms that it should be disqualifying. The President of the United States is also not supposed to use the military to just go after people he doesn't like. And that's exactly what Trump was threatening here. Instead of making a threat against an individual, he was talking about a whole group of people that represents at least half of this country. The Democrats, people on the left. And when he was asked to clarify what he meant, when he was given an opportunity to walk this back a little bit, of course he didn't do that. He just doubled down and started dropping names.
And it is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. It took 2 years to solve the problem. Absolutely nothing was done wrong, et cetera, et cetera. They're dangerous for our country. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick and they're so evil. If they would spend their time trying to make America great again, it would be so easy to make this country great. But when I heard about that, they were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
All right.
They're the threat to democracy.
So yet again, every accusation is a confession with these people. Donald Trump trying to say that people on the left represent the threat to democracy when he is literally making threats against people he doesn't like and using the United States military to do that. This is unhinged, it is disqualifying, and Donald Trump is unfit to be the next president of the United States. And this threat against Liz Cheney represents just another escalation in the ongoing political violence or violent rhetoric that Trump has made us all used to. And I think Liz Cheney really summed it up best when she responded to these unhinged comments, when she said, "This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant. Hashtag women will not be silenced. Hashtag vote for Kamala." When people talk about Donald Trump's authoritarian tendencies, and they talk about how he wants to be a dictator, it's the threats, like the one that we just saw against Liz Cheney, is what those people are talking about. It's the threats of using the United States military against American citizens that we're talking about. Donald Trump represents a clear and existential threat to this country. And if he's elected in November, we're in a lot of trouble. Donald Trump wants to completely reshape how American governance looks, and he will degrade the democracy like he's been on a path to so doing. And just remember, many dictators came to power through the democratic process. And once they were in power, they started tearing down institutions, they started breaking all of the norms, and that is exactly what Trump is doing here. If you thought his first term was bad, oh boy, we're in for a treat for a second Trump term. So these are the things that we have to remember when we go vote this November. I'll leave it there. If you guys got anything out of this video, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. Like I said, I am trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. If you want to see a speech by the only candidate in this race that represents actual American values and a fight for freedom and democracy, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.